Hi everyone, it's a beautiful day, so I decided to take our video outdoors. This week is Parshas Tetzaveh. When I was growing up, there was a phrase called mind your manners, which I think meant you had to be on your best behavior. And I wasn't always sure what my best behavior would be, but I kind of got the idea that when I'm eating my food, I should chew with my mouth closed. I shouldn't put my elbows on the table. I still don't understand that one. What are wrong with elbows on the table? Nonetheless, mind your manners, use the proper language. We call that derech eretz. How to be a human being with proper behavior. Okay, this week's parsha, that lesson comes out very clear from a very, very tiny bell. This week's parsha talks about the clothing that the Kohen and the Kohen Gadol would wear when he was doing his service inside the Mishkan and eventually in the Beit HaMikdash. The Kohen Gadol was to wear a me'il, a blue robe that would go over his body, and on its hem would have gold bells with woven pomegranates, 72 each. And when he would walk, you would hear him. And we are told that when he would enter the Mishkan, it would be a way of announcing himself as he walked in. Now we know Hashem knows when the Kohen is walking in. But it's to teach us derech eretz that when we walk in to someone's house, or even our own house, we shouldn't surprise people, but we should announce ourselves so that we can show our sensitivity to them. We're even taught in the Gemara that it is one of the behaviors of a wise person. The Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, told his son that there are 4 things that Hashem despises. And one of them is when a person enters their own home without announcing themselves. And that same Gemara in Pesachim 112a, Rabbi Kiva teaches his son Yehoshua that one of the things that Hashem despises is that a person shouldn't walk into their own home unannounced, and certainly not one of their friends. Now this behavior was first modeled by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. After Adam and Chava ate from the forbidden fruit, they went and hid. And when God wanted to address them, before he just started talking to them, he says the famous phrase, Ayeka, where are you? And that way, they would get prepared for what God had to now say to them. I actually saw this behavior modeled by my Rabbi Yisrael Blumenfeld, the Mashgiach in Neve Yehoshua, now called Neve Tzion. We went to his house, put the key in the door, and before he opened the door, he knocked on the door and announced himself. Well, I was a young man then, and I really didn't know that custom. So it's really important that whether you knock or or ring the bell, you shouldn't surprise people unnecessarily. Now, the Baal Term tells us that the robe was also an atonement for lashon hara, for ill speech. And perhaps maybe we can now bridge this to the idea that if we have shocking news, upsetting news, difficult news to share with someone, before we spring it on them, perhaps it's best that we wait till we're invited in. Wait for that right opportunity so that it will be received in the best way possible. So from a little bell on a rope, we are taught, don't surprise people unnecessarily. Derech eretz, mind your manners. What an important lesson we get from the clothing of the Kohen Gadol. If you like what you hear, please pass it on. Shabbat Shalom.